Out of the gates and ready to go. Welcome into this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. So glad to have you with us. On a little bit later today, folks, appreciate your patience as we've been following the NFL schedule release. We've gotten a lot of leaks, so we've been trying to track that. And coming up in just a few moments, we're going to tell you what we know of the NFL schedule so far. We'll have that for you in just a bit. Also, we got some news and rumors on the ownership situation as the Portland Trailblazers are for sale. Does that mean the Seahawks are next? And who could potentially buy the team? We'll go over some names to watch in our first segment. And then we'll also do a mailbag. It is Wednesday. That means you guys got questions. We got answers. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show off and rolling. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here in downtown Dallas, Texas on this very fine Wednesday afternoon. It's starting to get a little hot here, folks, as here in Dallas, I believe that we have a high of about 100 degrees today, and it's very humid as well. So we are trying to survive nonetheless, but we're making the most of it here in Dallas. Let us know where you guys are at. We'll shout you out. Kyle says he's usually at work right now and doesn't get to catch the live show. I'm glad you got to join us and be here. Juan Jose Lopez shouting out his favorite fearless leader. Thank you, Juan. Good afternoon to you as well. Checking in from Oceanside, California. I got YYC Guy from Calgary, Canada, the 51st state of the union. Good to see you, YYC Guy. Life of CB is Seattle born and in Detroit. Thanks for being here with us, Life of CB. Appreciate you stopping by. Where else you guys watching from? I got Michael in Honolulu. I got Che in Spokane Valley. Big Bro says watching from Memphis. Tyler, you were recently in Memphis. I was, and I lived to tell. I got out of Memphis alive, thankfully. Memphis, not my favorite city by any stretch of the imagination. Pretty shady. It once was a great city, but it has fallen apart. I was very disappointed in my time in Memphis. Beale Street was just dead as hell. Even on a Friday and Saturday night. I was pretty disappointed in Memphis, if I'm going to be real with y'all. UXIU is in Bremerton. I got Jedediah in Hawaii. D-Rock is in Daytona Beach, Florida. I got Kyle in Spokane. Doug in Chicago. El Taco in Texas. Mike Smith checking in from Portland, Oregon. Chris Matthews, the former MSNBC host. Is that who's checking in? From Renton, Washington. I got Sky in Omark, Washington. I got Nathan in Beaverton. I got UXI in Ferry right away from Seattle. I love the ferry up there. I got Dogzilla says cheers from Sassy Salsa Dancer in Duvall, Washington. User is in Jersey. Jedediah says, yeah. Darren is in New York. Good to see y'all. Thanks for checking in. And we got Pat also in Charleston, South Carolina. Mike says, thank you, Mr. Jones from Cloudy Spokane. Thank you. Nicholas from Rochester. Michael's in Florida. Plus is in Lacey, Washington as well. All right, so as we get this schedule that we should have in our hands any moment now at this point, we're getting very close. I'm following the schedule tracker, and right now Seattle's at 14 total games confirmed. We have 8, need to get to 17, so we got 3 more to go. We're waiting on the Atlanta game, the Carolina game, and the Tennessee game. And that's it at this point. And then we'll have the full schedule for you. And we'll bring you a video on the channel tonight with a full breakdown of the schedule when we have it. That way you don't have to wait till the official release from the NFL, which is in about 2 hours from right now. We'll have that for you later on. So stay tuned for that. But what do you think the Seahawks record is going to be in 2025? And let me say this. You're going to hear a lot of predictions from people around the NFL picking their respective teams to go 12-5. I can tell you it's literally impossible for every team to go 12-5. So what do we think? Can the Seahawks get to 11 wins, 10 wins, 12 wins? Will they take a step back, go to 9-8? What will be the Seahawks record for year 2 for Mike McDonald? Got UIX saying 11. YYC guys saying 10. Nate's saying 17-0. Come on, Nate. Come on now. Come on. What are we doing here? 17-0, please. Please. Get your predictions in. What's it going to be for Seattle? Jedediah saying 10-7, same record as last year. You know, what's funny is last year I was saying on this show, hey, you go 10-7, you're a playoff team. Well, how'd that work out? Not quite good enough at 10-7 last year. Kyle says 14-3. Seattle Bicycler says 13-4. Chris says 12 wins. D-Rock says 13-4. Michael says 12-5. UIX says let's be somewhat realistic. Nicholas says 11-4. Nicholas, are you predicting a tie in there? That's the only way that could happen. YC says 10 is a solid pick. Dogzilla says 9. Michael says 13-4. Dylan says 13-4. Chase says 11-6. Michael says 11. UIX says that was so dumb last season. Gordon says 11-6. Get your predictions in. How many wins will the Seahawks have in 2025? What will be their official record? Chime in the chat and let us know. Oregon says 4 preseason wins. Well, that's not possible, too. There's only 3 preseason games and 7 regular season wins. I hope they win more than 7 games. Seahawks and Tua fans says F. Bezos and 13-4. We're going to talk about Jeff Bezos in our first segment today. Al Bunch says 12-5. Jeff says 11-6. All sorts of predictions coming in for how you guys think the Seahawks season will play out. I'm going to give some shout-outs here. Big Tex is still working on a few things. So here's what I need you guys to do. Over this next minute, I need everybody in the chat to spam S as much as possible. That'll help the algorithm out and let people know that we're here, that we're live, that we're bringing you this live coverage here on Seahawks Today, here on schedule release day. We want to make our voices known loud and clear. It may be the middle of May, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a good time and enjoy ourselves and hang out with everybody today. So I need everybody to spam S as much as humanly possible over this next minute. I'll start and get the S's going. And then I want to see who's going to be the early favorite to be the MVP on today's show. So go ahead and start spamming S, and I'll shout you guys out as much as we can. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. I got Kyle. I got UIXU. Bicycler. Mike. Life of CB. Kyle. Life of CB. Seattle Bicycler. Mike. Jay. Bob. Jeff. Life. Already gone. Nate. Jeff. Chris. Mike, Life, Nate, Jeff, Nitsu, Kyle, Mike, already gone, Nitsu, Michael, Gordon, David, Mike, Seattle, Seahawks and Tua fan, David, already gone, Nate, Kyle, Gordon, Kyle, YYC, Seattle Bicycler, already gone, Seattle Bicycler, Michael. About 15 seconds to go. Finish strong. Faster, faster, faster. Here we go. I got Mike, Kyle, Chris, Mike, the Hulk, Nate, already gone, Nitsu, Nathan, Seattle, Nathan, Nitsu, Nathan, Kyle, already gone. Very good, very good. Yes. Well, one's going to be a bye. Nope. Okay, cool. All right, appreciate you all for doing that. Let's do the super chat menu, and then let's do a like driver, and then we'll go over the schedule, what we know so far. Super chat menu. If you'd like to get on today's show, here's how you can do so. First time super chatters get the Seahawks chant. $5 we'll give you a beer cheers. $10 we'll take some shots. $20 spin the wheel of punishment. $50 we will do a beer bong. $sign next to the chat box if you would like to contribute and get on today's show. And if you send in a super chat, whatever questions you have, you will get priority in our mailbag segment that we'll be bringing you coming up later on. So go ahead and start submitting those super chats now. I can promise you that our first super chat that we get today, we're going to go crazy. We're going to show you some love and have a good time for sending in that first super chat. So do your part, and let's have a good time today. UIX, I wish, but I cannot get kicked off YouTube. So I will give you the closest thing I can. So, but we'll see. Who's going to send the first super chat of the day? Who is going to be that one to step up and get this party started? You guys know, too, the rules are the rules here. If we reach $300 in Super Chats, then I will do a beer boot, which is 3 beers in one. We'll chug it as fast as possible. So that sounds like a deal to me. Who is going to step up to the plate and send us the first Super Chat of the day? First time Super Chats get the chant. $5 beer cheers, $10 take some shots, $20 wheel of punishment, and $50 we will do a beer bong. UIX is saying Kansas W. That's right. That's where I went to school, Rock Chalk, from one Hawk to another. And I kind of blended in. Similar colors here with all the blue today. So cheers to the Jayhawks and the Seahawks. All right. So with let's get a light driver in here real quick, and then we'll go over the schedule of what we know. Folks, we're at 22 likes. When we get to 50, I can reveal for you the 14 games we have on the schedule so far. When we reach 50 likes, we're at 22 right now, and I'll crack open a White Claw, a cold seltzer. I got peach today, but we have to get to 50 likes, and then we'll show you what we have to this point. But we got to get to 50 likes. So if you want to see the schedule leaks of what we have so far to this point, hit that like button. We're at 24 likes right now. When do we get to 50? And when you like the video, type me in the chat, and I'll shout you out for liking the video and help us get to 50 likes. We're at 29 right now. The sooner you guys get us to 50, the sooner we can show you what the schedule looks like to this point. 14 games confirmed. We're still waiting on 3 more. We're still waiting on what the bye week will be. But we do not know just yet what those are. But we can show you what we have to this point once we get to 50 likes. We're at 34 right now, so I need 16 more, and then we can start rolling through the schedule here. Who's going to help us out? Who's liked the video? Type me when you like the video. Michael liked it. Nate liked it. I see Dan the Man Miller also with a Super Chat. We'll catch up on Super Chats momentarily. David liked it. Kyle liked it. YXI, no, the schedule is not out. The schedule is not already out. That comes out in about 2 hours from right now, but we have the leaks. We have the documents. They've admitted this. 40 likes, 10 away, and we'll show you what we have of the schedule so far. Nitsu liked the video. Kyle liked it. Juan, Dan the Man Miller. 8 more. 8 more, then we can show you what we have. We can show you what we have when we get there. 7 more likes. 7 more likes. Who's going to help us out? Do you want to see it? Sounds like some of you don't want to see what we have in the schedule so far. I have it for you. I have everything we know to this point, but we got to get to 50 likes. We're at 43 right now. I need 7 more. 7 more, and we will be there. Who else? Who else? 44. 44. 6 away. And I'll take a drink of beer when we get there, too. I'm waiting. I'm waiting very patiently. The longer you guys wait on liking the video, the longer it takes to show you this schedule of what we have. So if I were you, I'd be running to that like button. That way we can get to this. We're 4 away. We're 4 away. I already see Already Gone's got a Super Chat, too. We'll catch up on all those Super Chats in a moment. Stand by. Stand by. 3 away. Chris Matthews liked the video. Type me when you like the video. There we go. 50 likes. You guys did it. Thank you. We will be able to reveal in just a moment what the schedule looks like to this point. Let's see. There we go. Cool. All right, so here's what we have of the schedule so far. It is a total of 14 games that have been confirmed. We're still waiting on 3 more in addition to the bye. Here's what we know to this point. Week 1, the Seahawks will open up against the San Francisco 49ers. That will be a home game, and we already have odds out for that one, as the Seahawks will enter that contest as 2.5-point underdogs at home against San Fran. Week 2, it is a road contest against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in all likelihood, Aaron Rodgers and a rematch against DK Metcalf and company. That should be very intriguing to see that one, how it all unfolds. Week 3, it is a home game against the New Orleans Saints, who will be under center for New Orleans after the retirement of Derek Carr. I would guess Tyler Schaff, but we'll see. Time will tell as we get there. Week 4 is the second divisional game of the year, as the Seahawks will be taking on the Arizona Cardinals on the road for their second road game and their first road divisional matchup of the season. Their Week 4, and facing off Kyler Murray and company there. Then Week 5, the Seahawks will be at home taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Baker Mayfield and company, who have won the division the last 3 seasons. And then Week 6, they travel on the road to Jacksonville to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars against Trevor Lawrence and company there for that contest. Week 7, they will face the Houston Texans. That game will be played at home. And that game, by the way, is a Monday Night Football contest. I forgot to mention as well the Arizona game will be on Thursday Night Football. So two primetime games there already. And then Week 8 is still TBD. We do not know if they will have a bye then or if they will play another team. That remains to be seen, but Week 8 is still to be announced. We're still waiting to see what Week 8 looks like at this point. Then Week 9, they are on the road on Sunday Night Football against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders, who went to the NFC Championship game a season ago. They're looking to build upon a very successful season. It would be the first time that the Seahawks have faced Dan Quinn after they turned him down for the Seahawks head coaching job, and he ended up taking that job instead. Week 10, it is a home contest with the Arizona Cardinals. And then Week 11, the Seahawks will be facing the Los Angeles Rams in a road game. The first time they'll be facing the Rams in 2025. Still waiting to see what Week 12 is. That's TBD on that front. When we get that update, we will let you know. Week 13, Sam Darnold faces his former team as he'll go up against the Minnesota Vikings. And it also is worth noting that that is a home game. So it's not a return to Minnesota for Sam Darnold, but nonetheless, he does get to play his former team and go up against his understudy in J.J. McCarthy, who is replacing him. Week 14 is still TBD. We're still waiting to see who that matchup could be or if it's a bye week potentially. Week 15 is a home contest against the Indianapolis Colts. And then Week 16, the Seahawks will face the Rams on Thursday Night Football, their second Thursday night game of the year. That makes the Seahawks play a total of 4 primetime games this year, with 2 on Thursday Night Football, 1 on Sunday Night Football, and another on Monday Night Football. Week 17, still waiting to see what that is, who the opponent will be. We know it won't be a bye that late in the season. And then Week 18, they finish with the team they started with. The San Francisco 49ers will be the final game of the season, the regular season finale, that game in San Francisco. So that's what we know. We're still waiting at this point for when the bye week will be, and then when the road games against Atlanta, Carolina, and Tennessee will be. But everything else we have to this point of the schedule here so far. That is what we know. And when we get the complete schedule, when they tell us what those other 3 games are, we'll talk about it here on Seahawks Today. We'll have you a video with a full recap and analysis of everything tonight. So that is the full look of the schedule of what we know so far to this point. Later on, we're going to do a mailbag. We need you guys to get your mailbag questions in using hashtag Seahawks or super chatting to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. And the more questions, the merrier. On the mailbag. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Whatever's on your mind, feel free to chime in, whether it's a trade, free agency. Feel free to send us our way. Maybe it's your thoughts on this team right now. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. We'll include that in our mailbag segment in our final segment of today's show. So we certainly appreciate that. Let's catch up on Super Chats, then we'll get to the news and rumors of the day. and then we'll have a Q&A rumors mailbag for you as well. So that is what we have here on Seahawks today. Our first Super Chat of the day came from El Taco. We'll begin with him, and then we'll go from there as we roll along here on this live edition of Seattle Seahawks today. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Wednesday afternoon. We came on a little bit later. We've been following the schedule stuff, but nonetheless, we're glad that we can be here with y'all and be hanging out here on Seahawks today here and get this thing started. First Super Chat of the day, El Taco with $1 Super Chat. Love it, El Taco. I love tacos. Tacos are delicious. I prefer soft over hard shell, personally speaking. As a kid growing up, I was a hard shell guy, and then I got my tonsils taken out, and I had to switch to soft tacos, and I've been a soft taco guy ever since. But I do love some tacos. Show Taco some love. Spam Taco in the chat for sending us our first Super Chat of the day. Dan the Man Miller, he wants to spin the wheel of punishment. He writes in with a $20 Super Chat. What would it take for Milroe to take the job from our QB? It would take one of two things. Either Sam Darnold just really struggles and gets benched, and Jalen Milroe gets the opportunity, or Sam Darnold gets hurt, and Jalen Milroe gets a chance, and he plays so well that they can't pull him, that he earns that job and keeps it. I think it would be one of those two scenarios of what it would take for him to be the starting quarterback. I don't envision either one of those things likely happening, but you never know. I think Jalen Milroe's got a lot of work to do still. I think it wouldn't be a bad thing if he does not start a single game this season, if it's all about Sam Darnold. And I think Darnold could be a franchise quarterback in this league, but that's the type of situation it would take for Jalen Milroe to take the starting job. Dan the Man Miller, thank you for that. Let's spin the wheel of punishment. What's it going to be? Here we go, folks. And it is say something nice about DK Metcalf. I look forward to week 2, and I think that DK is going to go all out. I expect him to have a very good game against the Seahawks week 2 and to be a problem for Seattle to deal with. I think it's going to be personal for DK. I think he'll play well week 2. That's the nice thing I'll say about DK. I forgot to open up my my White Claw from earlier, by the way. Cheers to all the 12s, Dan the Man Miller and company. Go Hawks. All right. Another Super Chat coming in. Already Gone writes, will Trump present the Super Bowl trophy to the Hawks at the White House in 2026? Well, I think the first question is, would the Seahawks go to the White House if they won the Super Bowl? And I think they have enough respect for the office that they would attend. Probably not everybody would be there, but I do think that they have enough respect that they would be there. Now, will the Seahawks win the Super Bowl? Probably not. I don't think the Seahawks are winning the Super Bowl, but hey, you never know. I think this team's going to take a huge step in 2025, but I would be surprised if they were honored at the White House with a Super Bowl trophy. But if they do win it, I think they would certainly be there and go with that. But already Gone, thanks for the $20 Super Chat. We'll spin the wheel of punishment again. And let's see what we end up with this time and see where this goes. Here we go, folks. Here's the wheel. The wheel of punishment. All right, 5-minute shot clock. So, for the next 5 minutes, my friends, shots of tequila straight from the Patron zone only cost $5. So, if you want me to get liquored up on this Wednesday and are down to party and have a good time, $5 shots beginning right now for the next 5 minutes. Here is the rest of the Super Chat menu if you'd like to get on today's show. First-time Super Chatters get the Seahawks chant, $5, do a beer cheers. Normally, shots are $10, but at least for the next 5 minutes, we'll make it $5. So you get the beer cheers and the shot. $20 will spin the wheel of punishment. $50, we will do a beer bong in all its glory. Dollar sign next to the chat box if you want to contribute. And if we reach 300 in Super Chats today, we will do a boot. We're already at $43 right now. We haven't even got to our first segment yet. So I would say we're making some significant progress on that front. So we'll see if you guys are down to have a good time today. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute. Another super chat coming in. Nitsu Trigger with a $2 super chat. He's saying more Bobo. Nitsu, he knows exactly what he's doing here. He wants more Bobo. I think the decision for Seattle is going to come down to whether or not to keep Jake Bobo or Steven Sims. And I rather have the faster receiver that can help out on special teams. I rather keep Steven Sims than Jake Bobo if you give me the choice. I respect Jake Bobo. I like Jake Bobo. I think he's a terrific story going from a UDFA to making this squad and being around here 2 seasons. He's been fun to have, but I think Steven Sims is a better receiver. I'll go with Steven Sims over Jake Bobo, but hey, more power to you. We agree to disagree with all due respect, Nitsu Trigger. Thanks for that super chat there. So now we are at $43. We got a $5 shot sale of about 2 minutes in. Once we finish this shot sale, then we'll get to our first segment today as we'll be talking about the Seahawks ownership situations. This team could be up for sale, and maybe Jeff Bezos is going to be the next owner of the Seahawks. We'll also do Q&A rumors mailbag. Start getting in your questions now using hashtag Seahawks or super chatting to get on the mailbag portion of today's program. Our poll question right now, should Jeff Bezos buy the Seahawks? And so far, 54% of you voting yes, 46% voting no, that you don't want Bezos to buy the Seahawks. So pretty well split between those varying opinions there between the two of whether Bezos should buy the Seahawks or not. 54% saying yes, 46% saying no. Keep getting your votes in. We got about 184 votes so far to this point. In a moment, we'll do our news and rumors segment, and then we'll follow that up with a Q&A rumors mailbag as well. So that's what's ahead here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Big Tex, we haven't heard from you today. Welcome in. I know you've been very busy, working very hard as we've been trying to keep up with all this schedule stuff and everything going on. I want to bring in Big Tex before we get to our first segment and let the 12s hear from him as he's a favorite among the 12s around here. And we'll do that before we'll get officially started with today's show. We got about another 90 seconds left on the shot clock, by the way. Get about 90 seconds left. $5 shots. I'm surprised nobody's taken me up on this to take a shot for $5. It's very cheap. That's all it takes. And we got about less than 90 seconds left. So last chance on some $5 shots. Now Big Tex is here. Big Tex, very busy day. The schedule of what we've seen so far, what stands out to you? Any particular games or anything?
The Giants one's a little bit interesting just because it's a unique NFC matchup. They play on the other side of the United States. You know, I'm a Cowboys fan, so got some. Well, I was a Cowboys fan.
They're not playing the Giants.
I know. Oh wait, I thought they were playing the Giants.
No, you're thinking of the other team.
My bad. I'm getting my. Speaking of long days, I'm getting my teams mixed up here. Wrong team. Good point. I would say probably the second time they play the Rams, just because I feel like
prime time, Thursday night.
Yeah, playoff implications on the line, especially in the NFC race and especially in their division as well. That kind of comes to mind a little bit for me.
Okay. What intrigues you guys about the schedule, what we've seen so far? We're waiting on a few more games, but let us know in the chat. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with our first segment, news and rumors. We will talk about Jeff Bezos potentially buying the Seahawks in the ownership situation. We'll also do a Q&A rumors mailbag in our second segment. Get your questions in now using hashtag Seahawks or super chatting to get on today's show. And we certainly would appreciate that. All right, without further ado, segment 1. Let's talk the latest ownership news. JoJo. That's my JoJo. Is she gone? Is she about to sell the team? Let's explore that possibility, tell you the latest, and how Jeff Bezos could be involved coming up on this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, starting right now. Could Jeff Bezos be the next owner of the Seattle Seahawks? Welcome into this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we have some new details to get to on the ownership side of things as Jody Allen, that's my JoJo. She could be looking to potentially sell the team very soon. We got some details that we'll explain. And could Jeff Bezos potentially be the one in line to take over as the next owner of the Hawks? We'll explore that possibility coming up in just a bit. Before we do, folks, we are closing in on 67,500 subscribers here on the channel. We are less than 200 away from reaching the next milestone. For daily news and rumors, as well as our live shows each and every week, Mondays and Wednesdays, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more, you got to be subscribed to your one-stop shop for all things Seattle Seahawks. Best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing, 100% free. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. So, in case you missed it, the Portland Trail Blazers, our friends just to the south, they are officially for sale from the Paul Allen Family Trust run by Jody Allen, which is the same ownership group of the Seattle Seahawks, and they also own a stake in the Seattle Sounders, the MLS team. And so with the Blazers up for sale, what does that mean for the Seattle Seahawks? And the Blazers situation is pretty interesting too. Are the Blazers going to be on the move? How much longer are they going to stay in Portland? Could we see them come to Seattle and rebrand as the Supersonics potentially? A lot going on there in Portland. Let's tell you what you need to know. Starting with the Blazers, the Trailblazers are officially for sale. They are valued at about $3.5 billion, according to the folks at Front Office Sports. Now, the estimated sale is supposed to happen sometime in the 2025 through 2026 NBA season. So, not within the next couple of weeks, but it should be finalized while the season is still going on in the association. Now, in the Paul Allen Family Trust, since his passing, when things were handed over to JoJo, the agreement in Paul Allen's will states very clearly that all teams that were owned by Paul Allen previously must be sold at some point in time. It doesn't give a deadline, but we know it will happen, that JoJo can't hang on to those teams long term, and that the sale itself, that money that is made from these sales, must be given to charities. Now, with that said, the sale of the Seahawks is not expected to occur until after the Portland Trail Blazers are sold. This is step one for the Paul Allen Family Trust, is to move on from the Blazers and then go with the Seahawks from there. The estimated worth of the Seahawks, the last guess from the folks at Forbes, was about $5.45 billion. That's billion with a B, folks. But you would have to think the longer this goes on, that worth is only going to climb higher from here. There was a statement from the Paul Allen Trust this past week that said the following on the Portland Trail Blazers situation. This news does not affect Seahawks franchise or the estate's 25% interest in the Seattle Sounders, and neither is for sale. Now, not for sale yet. They're not taking the teams to market right now, but things could change. Despite what the Allen Trust is telling you, it actually does affect the Seattle Seahawks, because that means that they are getting the ball rolling on these sales of moving on from the assets. Once you take care of the Portland Trail Blazers and find them a new home, then the Seattle Seahawks would likely be the next to be moved. So they may say one thing, they actually mean another here. And here's another interesting development. I think we were all aware many years ago when Paul Allen passed away, and Paul Allen was a terrific man, by the way, that part of the agreement with the state of Washington up until 2025 said that the state would get a 10% share of the revenue if the Seahawks were sold. Well, that time has come and gone. That has expired. So now, going forward from here, would be the window where Seattle would be looking to sell. That way, they don't have to give up that 10% stake to the state of Washington of the profits made from the sale. The name to watch, and we're going to go over a list of names of potential owners here in just a moment, is Jeff Bezos. And Bezos is the leading contender for a number of reasons. We'll tell you what those are coming up in just a bit. Now, what do you think about Jeff Bezos being the next owner of the Seattle Seahawks? It's our pinned comment today. Your chance to make the call. Should they sell to Bezos? Before I tell you my opinion, I want to hear from you guys. Type HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Weigh in. Let us know. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know what you think. Personally, I'm all in on the idea of Jeff Bezos. And I know that there's some people that don't like how he's handled things at Amazon, or maybe don't like his politics or what's going on at the Washington Post. But put all of the personal stuff aside and look at his track record. In everything that he has touched, from Amazon to Blue Origin to the Washington Post, each and every one of those have been extremely successful. The guy is brilliant. He is not just a rich dude. He is a genius, okay? Founder and executive chairman of Amazon, also the founder of Blue Origin, the owner of the Washington Post, the second richest man in the world, according to Forbes, at $216.5 billion. And you may recall there was a report from the Washington Post not too long ago that Jeff Bezos expressed interest in buying the Seattle Seahawks as far back as 2019. And he didn't end up buying the Washington Commanders or some of the other teams that have popped up. Some people have speculated that he passed on those opportunities because he's waiting for the chance to buy his hometown team, the Seattle Seahawks. Bezos lived in the Seattle area for nearly 30 years. This is his team. This is his home. Who he roots for is the Seattle Seahawks. And Bezos, there's no shortage of cash on hand. We mentioned how much he's worth at over $200 billion. But not too long ago, he sold off about $5 billion in Amazon shares to put in his pocket. And some people think that that was to have ready in case the Seahawks come for sale, that he can make a pretty good offer and have that cash in hand ready to go. The thing with Jeff Bezos, he doesn't do anything halfway. The great Ron Swanson once said, never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. And Jeff Bezos, whether it's been Amazon or Blue Origin or the Washington Post or these different businesses and investments he's been a part of, he goes all in everything he does. And I have every reason to think he would be a successful owner for this Seattle Seahawks team. In a moment, we will lay out the reasons why I think Bezos would be a good fit for the Seahawks. But we want to hear from you guys. If it's not Bezos, who should it be? Who do you believe should be the next owner of the Seattle Seahawks? The ultimate decision. If you had to choose one individual, who would you like to see be that next owner? Chime in the comment section and tell us what you think. Seahawks rookie jerseys are on sale now at chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies. Whether it's Gray Zabel or Jalen Milroe, one of these others, you can get a Seahawks jersey with their name and the number that they're going to wear this season at chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies. We have the rookies available. We also have other players of interest. Maybe you want a Sam Darnold or a Cooper Kupp jersey. We got those for you as well, all in one place, chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Go to chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies to get yours today. Now, when I look at Jeff Bezos in particular, there's a lot of pros about him potentially being the next owner of this team, and I can't find too many cons. Maybe you don't like him personally, but I don't care if he's a bad guy. If you don't like him for those reasons, the guy's been a winner in everything he does. The pros far outweigh the cons in this case. The pros of Bezos as the owner. Money would never be an issue under any circumstance for this organization. They would have every dollar at their disposal that they could potentially think of. Top-notch facilities, among the very best in the NFL. Look, whether it's a remodel of Lumen Field down the line, whether that's building another stadium, they can have the stadium that they want well into the future. Whether it's the practice facilities, maybe it's doing something like what the Dallas Cowboys have done with the Star in Dallas, of building an entire city around their practice facility. You are going to be second to none with that money that Bezos has, what he can spend to invest, and it would be very attractive to free agents. Bezos has done a really good job when it comes to creating global branding and innovation. Think big picture. This is not just the Seattle Seahawks. You want to reach fans all across the nation, all across the world, and build this brand. And Bezos knows exactly how to do that. There would be a commitment to Seattle. If you recall, when Paul Allen bought the team many years ago, there was talk that the next owner might move the organization. There's no reason to leave Seattle if you're Jeff Bezos. A commitment would be there to represent his hometown team with all the money he has. And then the ability to attract top talent with giving them the best resources, the best facilities imaginable, and somebody like Jeff Bezos leading the way. Who would not want to play for that? Whether it's future coaches, players, you are going to get the best of the best. With that said, it's not a foregone conclusion. Even if Bezos is the favorite to be the next owner, he will have some competition, and there will be a lot of people interested as these things come about when these teams come up for sale in the National Football League. And here's some names that I would keep an eye on. Steve Ballmer, a Microsoft guy, owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. He's expressed some potential interest in getting into the National Football League. How about Bezos' own ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott? She made off pretty well after he had that affair with a nanny, I think. Yeah, she's got a boatload of money, and she's got Seattle connections as well, looking to potentially cash in. Wouldn't that be ironic if Mackenzie Scott ended up being the owner of the Seahawks? How about Chris Hansen? He did an effort to bring back the Supersonics many years ago and led that effort, led that group, and he's a guy that's, I think, beloved among the Seattle community. Another one for you, Jay-Z and Rock Nation Sports. They've done the agency thing, and now there's rumblings that they're looking to take a step up and get into the ownership side of things, and the NFL could be their next step. How about Mark Cuban? He's no longer owning the Dallas Mavericks. He's got plenty of money to spend, a lot of time on his hands here. I think that he doesn't feel good about how things went after he departed from the Dallas Mavericks with the Luka trade and everything here. Maybe his next chapter is getting involved in the National Football League, taking that step up from the NFL. And here's another thing. These teams are so expensive, folks, that what we've seen is a trend where ownership groups are now forming, where we're seeing less and less of teams owned by just one individual, where they are getting, whether it's former players or people that are involved in the community that have a bit of wealth to them to get involved. Even look at the Las Vegas Raiders, who've been family-owned for all these years, from Al Davis to Mark Davis. What did they do recently? They called up Tom Brady, and now Tom Brady's got a significant ownership stake and say within the Las Vegas Raiders. So who could potentially be in the ownership group? Here's some names I'd keep an eye on. Steve Largent is a possibility. I think Walter Jones is another name that comes to mind. How about Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander, Cam Chancellor? I could see all of those guys potentially having a stake in the Seattle Seahawks. Some other names, I think Marshawn Lynch would be another one to keep an eye on. And then how about in the world of entertainment? Macklemore, I don't know what he's doing these days. It's been a while since he put out a banger, but Macklemore could be a name to keep in mind. You want a Seahawks super fan, you're not going to find a bigger one than Rainn Wilson. Dwight Schrute. Wouldn't that be electric? Dwight Schrute owns the Seattle Seahawks. He could be involved in an ownership group. Chris Pratt, also another possibility. And then my personal favorite, Washington native, none other than Sidney Sweeney. Man, you could sell a lot of merch. There would be a lot of great opportunities with Sidney Sweeney involved. Whether it's some tank tops or bikinis or something, sign me up. Sidney Sweeney, I still want her to raise the 12th man flag at the very least. Let's get Sidney involved and call me anytime. Anytime, Sidney. Who would you like to see in the next ownership group? Whether it's Bezos buying the team or some of those other names we mentioned, who do you want to see of a celebrity or a former player involved in the next ownership group? Weigh in, let us know. Another thing to keep in mind on, too, that I think would be an interesting point is the private equity realm of things. The NFL changed its rules not too long ago that allows for a 10% ownership stake to come from private equity. Now, by the time Seattle sells, that stake could be higher. It could still be 10%, but I wouldn't be surprised if private equity is involved. At the end of the day, I think if you're the Seahawks, what you're hoping for is that the next owner isn't anything like what we've seen with David Tepper with the Carolina Panthers. Rich guy, a lot of money, but a dumbass when it comes to spending and running that organization. That would be the worst case scenario. That's what I'm hoping for. At the end of the day, I believe that they're going to find the right guy. I just hope that it's not somebody like David Tepper or a Dan Snyder type. If they avoid that, they should be in good shape. Ownership matters. Look at what Josh Harris has done since taking over the Commanders from Dan Snyder. It is a 180 of an organization. It's totally different, and I think that it's going to be very important to make sure that they're in good hands going forward from here. And I think Bezos would be great to be that guy potentially. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today for free. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. There we go, folks. We are one segment down, one more to go. We'll get to our Q&A mailbag in a moment. Who would you like to see in the next ownership group? I'm seeing all sorts of names. Life of CB says, please not Jay-Z. Nitsu says, Mark Cuban might buy the Angels. The OC Dot guy says Trump. Kevin says, hell no on Jay-Z. Double hell no on Cuban. D-Rock says Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Nate says Standom or Diesel. I got Nitsu saying Richard Sherman. Nicholas says Walter would work. Zach says, I'll do it. I just need 10,000 of you to throw in 10,000 each. Michael says, add me in the 0.0001%. Kevin says fan ownership would be nice, like the Green Bay Packers there. Okay. There you go, folks. Mailbag coming up next. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. How are we doing on questions, by the way? I know we could use some more questions. Get your questions in. Let's see. Kyle says Mark Cuban was the only owner that voted against moving the Supersonics. That's not true. Paul Allen voted against it, too. Paul Allen also voted against it, of moving the Supersonics from Seattle. That will work. That's fine. Yeah, go ahead and bring it up because I'll share some thoughts on that. Yeah. Get your questions in. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. I'm putting a minute on the clock. I need about 2 or 3 questions. And then we can get started with the mailbag portion of today's show. Chase says, no way on Jay-Z. Yeah, I don't know what he's been doing at Diddy parties. I don't want any Diddy parties in Seattle. Get your questions in. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Nick, Kyle, Zach, Kevin, get your questions in. Nate, Che, don't make me wait because I got other things to do. I need about 2 or 3 more questions. And then we'll be good to go. Okay. So get your questions in. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Give me 2 or 3 more questions. Why are you guys making me wait? I'm seeing all these comments come in. Why aren't you sending in questions? Just send me some questions. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat, and we'll get them on the show. Nate says Bezos. No. Why no on Bezos? Why no on Bezos? 53% of you saying yes, 47% saying no. I love the idea of Jeff. Jeff's a smart guy. He's a rich guy. He knows what he's doing. Get your questions in. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Hurry this up because we got other things to do. And the bots have entered the chat. Oh, great. Good grief, bots. We don't even have a game tonight, and the bots are trying to infiltrate. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Come on now. Get your questions in. Why do you guys make me wait? I got other things to do. Like, Nate, why do you have to do this to me? Just get me 2 or 3 questions. There's one from Mike. Let's see. Just 2 or 3 more. Like, Nicholas, that's a good question, but you didn't use hashtag Seahawks. Let's see. Nate, we literally just told you in the segment Bezos is from Seattle. They are not moving. They are not moving if Bezos buys the team. We've already addressed that, Nate. Use hashtag Seahawks. I need 1 or 2 more, then we get started here. 1 or 2 more. Got to use hashtag Seahawks in your question. There we go, Zach. Thank you. Okay. Now let's do the mailbag, and then we'll get out of here. All right, folks. Let's get this thing started. Final segment, and then we'll wrap up and call it a day. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Our mailbag, our final segment here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Let's get started right now. Here we go. It is time to touch our bags and drop our sacks on this mailbag edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. I am Tyler Jones, your fearless leader here with you. Thanks for joining us. And I've already seen a couple trade ideas involving Kayvon Thibodeau as well as Hollywood Brown. We'll answer those, among others, coming up here in just a bit. Let's start with this $20 super chat from Dan the Man Miller, who writes in, what would it take for Jalen Milroe to take the job from our QB, Sam Darnold? Dan, first off, thanks for the super chat. Secondly, it would require one of 2 things to happen. Number 1, Sam Darnold would have to just suck and get benched for Jalen Milroe to get that opportunity. Or, number 2, Sam Darnold gets hurt, Jalen Milroe balls out, and he doesn't give the job back. It would have to be one of those 2 situations. And I think both are very unlikely to happen. I trust Sam Darnold. I think he's going to have a very good year this year. But that's what it would take. And I think it's unlikely at this point, but you never know. I hope Jalen Milroe is ready to go. I don't think there should be any rush to play him. I think he needs to learn how the NFL works. And a year behind Sam Darnold would not be bad for him at all. But we'll see how things go. Already Gone with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Already Gone. Will Trump present the Super Bowl trophy to the Hawks at the White House in 2026? Well, there's 2 parts to that question. Number 1, are the Seahawks going to win the Super Bowl in 2026? And I hate to break this to you, but the answer is probably no. His team's heading in the right direction, but I don't think they're a Super Bowl contending team yet. And then the second part of that question is, would they go to the White House and accept a Super Bowl trophy from President Trump? And based on how Mike McDonald and John Schneider and Jody Allen carry themselves, I think they would want to be there if that happened. I don't think everybody would show up, but I think out of respect for the office that they would be there. So I don't think that there will be a Super Bowl ceremony, but if they do win it, yeah, they'll be there. Nitsu says more Bobo. Nitsu knows how to drive me crazy. Nitsu, the final wide receiver roster spot, we've talked about this, is going to come down to Jake Bobo and Steven Sims. And I like Jake Bobo, but given the choice between these 2, give me the faster receiver that can help me out in special teams. That's Steven Sims. That's not Jake Bobo. It's not personal. It's just business. I'd be happy to keep Jake Bobo around on the practice squad, but I'd rather have Steven Sims right now for that final receiver spot. Folks, you not only need to be subscribed to Seattle Seahawks Today, but you got to turn on your notifications. That way you're the first to know when we have new content here on the channel. We're bringing you our daily news and rumors. We have live shows twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. We also have breaking news, interactive Q&A mailbags. We do these each and every Wednesday. So go ahead and subscribe now. Turn on your notifications. That way you're the first to know when we have new content here on the channel, when we go live. Best part about it, it's 100% free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. And if you have your notifications turned on, that means you're part of the Noti Gang. Spam Noti Gang in the comments section. Show yourselves out, and it will continue here on Seahawks Today. The 40 Whiners stink so much, writes in. Could the Seahawks trade for Kayvon Thibodeaux? So Kayvon Thibodeaux has had an interesting start to his NFL career to this point. Had a very strong sophomore campaign in 2023 with 11.5 sacks. But his production has been inconsistent, to say the least. 4 sacks in his rookie season. Last year, his numbers were down, and he was hurt with 5.5 sacks. The Giants have already picked up his 5th-year option. So they are invested in him, it seems, for the long term. But if he is on the market, they should be running at the chance to bring in Kayvon Thibodeaux. I don't think you'd have to pay too much when it comes to his draft capital you'd give up. I don't think you'd have to pay him a whole lot in the next contract either, just because he's been inconsistent. But I think that that's a guy Mike McDonald could work with and get the most out of. I would be all ears on the idea of bringing in Kayvon Thibodeaux. Will it happen? I think it's unlikely, but we'll see how things go with the Giants. And if the Giants are having a down year, maybe he's a guy to keep an eye on when we get close to the trade deadline, potentially. Should the Seahawks trade for Kayvon Thibodeaux? You got 2 options here. It's our pinned comment today. You can type T for trade, P for pass. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know what you think. T for trade, P for pass. BJR writes in, will the Seahawks be a top 5 defense this year? Ooh, that's very interesting. Top 5, I don't know if they crack the top 5 because there's some really good defenses in the NFL. But I think top 10 is certainly within reach. You think about where they're at right now. The defensive line is solid. The linebacker room is good, but it lacks some depth. The secondary, I like what you have at the safety spot a lot. The corner room, I think Devin Witherspoon is really good. Reek is a bit inconsistent. And Josh Jobe, I don't feel great about as a starting outside corner. But you have massively improved from what you were a couple of years ago. So maybe not top 5, but I think top 10 is certainly within reach for this Seahawks defense in 2025. Sandcaster writes in, Emmanwori gives me Legion of Boom vibes, #Seahawks. That's been talked about a lot, especially with the comparisons that he's gotten to Cam Chancellor. John Schneider talked about it within the last few days that he reminds him of Cam when it comes to his body, his height and size on that front. So that's really good there. He's a hard, physical, tough football player. He can play multiple positions. But let me simmer things on the Legion of Boom thing. I think it was Cam, and there's been some others, that have talked about that they want this next Seahawks team to be able to bring back the Legion of Boom. And what I would tell you is I don't need the Legion of Boom to come back. I need these guys to create a new mantra for themselves, a new identity. The next chapter of Seahawks football doesn't need to be about recreating the past. It needs to be about setting yourselves up for the future. So while that sounds nice to have a second run of the Legion of Boom, that's not what I'm looking for. I want these guys to create their own history and do their own thing, and I think that under Mike McDonald they can do that. Hawks Nation writes in, should the Seahawks trade for Hollywood Brown? So there was a report out this week from Pro Football Network that the Kansas City Chiefs could be looking to trade Hollywood Brown before the season begins after they drafted Jalen Royals from Utah State in the 4th round. They're very high on Jalen Royals, and they might not have a spot for Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown was injured most of this past season, only played in 2 regular season games and 3 postseason games, and he didn't really do much for Kansas City. Had just 9 catches for 91 yards in those 2 games played, and they didn't really use him the way that he's been used in the past, as typically we've talked about Hollywood Brown being a guy that you could stretch the field vertically with. He looked like more of a possession receiver this past year in Kansas City, but Hollywood has said, hey, I want to be a guy that can do it all. Look, if Hollywood Brown is up for grabs, I would love to have him. He, I think, is a lot better than MVS and could be one of, if not the best, number 3 receivers in the NFL. You pair him up with JSN, Cooper Kupp, and then Hollywood Brown as your number 3 receiver, I think you would be in great shape. He's got a very team-friendly contract, not making a ton of money, and you could probably get him for about a 5th or 6th round pick if Kansas City is willing to trade him. I would love the idea of bringing Hollywood Brown in. He's still not that old either. Should the Seahawks trade for Hollywood Brown? You got 2 options here. Sound off in the comments. Let us know. Type Y for yes, in for no. Which way do you lean towards? Should the Seahawks trade for Hollywood Brown or not? Weigh in the comments section. Tell me what you think. Zach writes in, over under 7.5 wins. I think we win 11 plus easily. So we got a record prediction video that's on the channel with my official prediction of how this year will play out. But over 7.5, easy. I think that this is a playoff team. I think they have a great chance to win the division. At the very least, they're a wild card team. I think at best they can win multiple playoff games. But if it's under 7.5 wins, we got a serious problem here, folks. Because this team, even in this rebuild, ever since Russ left, they rattled off 9 wins back-to-back seasons. And last year, they took a step up, won 10 games. You got to keep trending upward. You can't fall backwards. It can't be a 9. It can't be an 8-win season if this team's going to continue to build and where they want to go. 7.5 wins is not going to cut it. They have to be well over that. If this is going to be a successful season for the Hawks, they got to win 10 or more at the very least. Mike writes in, do you think Nick and Cam have met yet? I don't know if they've met in person yet, but there have been conversations. We talked about on the channel earlier this week that Cam reached out to him before he was even drafted by Seattle, that he told him that he hopes he proves the haters wrong that are underestimating him when it comes to his size and all that. So there's a relationship there. I think that Cam could potentially be a good mentor to Nick Emmanwori. Maybe that means Cam's going to be in the building more, but yeah, I think that there's already something there between those two, and I think it's pretty cool to say the least. Nicholas writes in, should we use Milroe in offensive packages? Yes, and I think that they will, whether it's in the Wildcat or the tush push or maybe it's short yardage situations. Jalen Milroe's too talented to not be on the football field. With that athleticism, the size, the speed he has, maybe even on the field at the same time as Sam Darnold. He is not your starting quarterback, and he should not replace Sam Darnold, at least in the short term. But Jalen Milroe, yes, there is a role for him on this team. We'll see what it is, but we will see Jalen Milroe on the field at some point in 2025. Last question comes from Kyle. Kyle wants to know, who will have a better season, JSN or Cooper Kupp? It's JSN. JSN's coming off a fantastic sophomore campaign. Cooper Kupp, I think, is really good. I think he still has plenty left to offer. He's not what he used to be at one point in his career, but I still think he's a very good receiver, and he's been a bit injury-prone. He's been banged up a lot, has struggled to stay healthy. So I think Cooper Kupp will be good, but I think JSN's got a real chance to be an all-pro type receiver. I can't say the same thing about Cooper Kupp at this point, but I think they'll complement each other, and they'll both be good fits in this offense and make life easier for Sam Darnold. Appreciate you all joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now for free, youtube.com/Seahawks TV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right, folks, we got to get out of here. We have the full schedule now. So we're going to sign off, and we're going to have a video on the channel in literally just a few minutes with reaction with the full schedule. So go watch that video here in just a little bit, as it will bring it to you here on the channel. We'll have that for you right here on Seahawks Today. For Big Tex, I'm Tyler Jones. Have a great night, everybody. So long.